Our first tutorial is going to be a apple walking, and this guy's from one of those popular YouTube channels you see around about the objects talking. And what we've done is we've got this guy and we've saved out all his parts into different folders. They're PNG files. The reason why we use PNG and not JPEG is because of PNG has transparency. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our Anime Studio going here, and we're going to get our starter project that we created in a previous tutorial, and it is 1080p, and it's got these two group layers. And we're going to go get our character, and we're going to start dragging in parts. And what we'll do is we'll drag in his body first. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this group layer here, and we're going to click this little arrow down. We're going to drag his body into the group layer. Now we're going to get other parts, so we'll get his arm and drag it in, and we'll get an eye, and another eye, and a leg, and we'll get a mouth. So what we're going to do is we're going to reorganize these guys. Let's get his leg and move it down, and get his arm, move it over, and we'll get his mouth. Where's his mouth? Etc. Here we go. And move there, and his eye. Move that over there. And let's organize his other eye. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get this group layer here, and we're going to duplicate it so we have a copy of a free group layer. We're going to drag this up here, and we're going to click this down, and we're going to get this eye and this eye, and we're going to drag them up until this layer goes red, and click it in here. And now what this does is it allows us to get the move, when we're on this, and get the move tool and move both of his eyes at the same time. Now we can come in here and we can get each individual eye and move it. But, you know, we can do that later on if we need to. Now, all of our character setup is going to be done on frame 0, which is what we want. If you do it anywhere else, it's going to mess you up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get his leg, and we're going to move it down, and we're going to get his arm. That's fine. And now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate. We're going to make him walk. So we're going to rotate this leg, and as you can see, it rotates around this center axis point here. So what we're going to do is we want to change that, and we're going to take this and we're going to move it right up the top here. So then when we do a rotate, it rotates from that point, and that's pretty good. So now what we're going to do is, since we've done it to that one, we're going to duplicate that particular part, and it takes on the same characteristics as the other one, and just Control Z that, and then we'll just move this guy over here. And that's looking good so far. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing to the arm. We're going to change its axis point, and then let's put it back over here. There we go. So then when we rotate, that does what we want, and then we're just going to duplicate this guy and move him over. And as you can see, his mouth is above his arm, so we don't want that. So now what we can do is we can organize our character, and we can just move his arm there, and this arm, we probably want this one here, we want to have it below his body, and his legs we also want to move below his body. So our character is pretty much organized now, so we can go up to this layer and we can resize him. We can use the scale here, and we can just bring him down to a better size, and we just move him over to the corner of the screen here, and now we can animate him. So what we're going to do is we're just going to work on one part at a time, and so we're going to work on this leg, and we'll just move him 6 frames. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to, sorry about that, let's put him back. Let's just move him over here. Oops. Go back to frame 0. Move him over here where we want him to start. And everything, frame 0 is very important. If you start moving around different frames, you'll get all sorts of unexpected results. So we'll move to frame 6. Actually, what we'll do is we wanted this to happen over 60 frames. So this is where we want him at 60 frames. So if we go back here and we click run, we see he's going to move. Now what we want to do is we want his feet to move at the same time. We just change this to 70 frames so it stops. So we're going to move him 6 frames, and we'll pick his leg here, and we'll rotate it. And then we'll move this one, and then we'll move it back a bit. Now this is a slow way of doing it, but we'll go through this part first of animating this particular part, and we'll show you in the next leg how to do it a little bit quicker. Now we've got this frame in the wrong spot, so we can just move that one back. And he stopped, so that's where we want him to be. So it looks like we want this last leg to be there. So we can click the rewind, and then we can play it. And as you can see, he does a little walk. That looks pretty good. So now let's rewind and go to his other leg. And so as we move him 6, this leg moves forward, so we want this leg to move back. So we'll move this leg back. And as that leg moves backwards, we'll move this one forward. So instead what we're going to do, instead of choosing each leg position, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to click and drag with the left mouse button and go copy, and then paste, and then move over, and then paste. And as you can see, we can do it really quick. Now we could have highlighted all these and got them in one go. And paste, and let's see, we want to change this one so he's here. And we're going to click rewind, and we're going to play it. And you can see he's walking, and that's exactly what we want for our first tutorial. Now just to make it look even more realistic, what we can do is we could drag in a background, and what we've done is we've dragged him into the middle of our guy here, so we don't really want him up there. So if we drag him up there, it overlays our guy, so we'll just move it down here, and now our guy is here. Now you can see what I've done is I dragged it into the middle of the animation here, which is not what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete that instead of trying to mess around with it. Go back to here and re-drag in our background, and it's actually coming at the right spot now, and our background shouldn't move, so we'll just click it, and there he goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to export the animation, and this is going to export at 1080p, and I don't want to do this, it's going to take too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render the animation at half dimensions, and we'll come back when it's finished. Oh, sorry, we'll go through this first. We'll say yes, we want to overwrite him, and we're going to pick, you've got many choices here. I would pick one of these few first, and if you're going to do some final rendering, you probably want to do full frames uncompressed. So what I'm going to do is going to pick Microsoft RLE with 100% quality and off it renders, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, here's the result of our render. And it looks really good, but the problem with using that particular codec is you can see a bit of like funny stuff going on here. The tomato looks pretty good, or the apple looks pretty good, but you can see some blotchiness here of how it's been compressed. So this is why we're going to do uncompressed later on. But that's the first part. We're going to make him walk, and next tutorial we're going to embellish him just a little bit more. This is a really good start to our tutorial, so hopefully you'll follow along for the next one.